This is a quick tutorial. We're going to start doing these more regularly. What we want to do is give all of our viewers and especially our customers of the Goboxstudio all the tools they need in order to be able to make all the adjustments they need and actually get the most out of the Goboxstudio. Because a lot of people who own these, I go visit them, I meet them at events, and they're doing amazing stuff. The video looks great, but then I see that they're not fully utilizing all the capabilities, which is fine. But we want to make sure that as time goes on, you learn all the tips and tricks and you can really push this thing to the max like it was meant to be used. So today we're going to do two things. And those two things are, number one, we're going to show you how to change right here, right below here. You see my name here, it says Ken Okazaki, and over there, you can say Junaid, it says Junaid Ahmed. Now, a lot of people, they kind of struggle with changing it. You're bringing on guests and you want to be able to do that real quick on the fly. So Junaid is going to walk us through how do you change these names so that it actually matches the face that's above the name. So Junaid, walk us through this. And then after that, we've got one more thing that we're going to do in today's session.
For this one, we're going to have to use demo mode that Ecamm Live provides. So now I have demo mode enabled, but I need to.
So what we're seeing here, Junaid, is typically what the person who's using the Gobox, what they're going to see on their screen, right? And what we saw just a second ago was what the person who's watching the stream, aka the person on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, that's what they're going to see. Is that right?
That's correct. So what everybody's seeing is the screen. Let me look at the preview window. Program Live just still sees the both of us. And if I click on this little icon, I see everything. So this is our window for Ecamm Live. This is the chat window, and this is the scenes, and this is the overlays. So the names are actually sitting inside the overlays.
I think we're good. I just wanted to explain what people are seeing here, and I think people understand what the difference between the stream and the view where we see all the controls, all the guts.
Exactly. So in here is where we've named each of these layers so that it has, hey, this is the host name and this is the guest name. And as I hover over these items, you'll see them also highlight on the screen. Now, if I hover over the screen, since I have another thing on top, it's blocking me. So now you'll see this little pencil icon, and when I click on this pencil icon, it'll bring up the edit text overlay window.
Junaid, I want to pause right there for a second because you said, oh, there's something on top. So could you walk us through how to unlock and then lock that thing again? Because I think a few people got stuck there.
So here you'll see that I've got multiple layers in this scene, and this is the window scene. And on the overlay section, you'll see there's lock icons and there's unlock icons. So for example, if I were to unlock this, I'm not able to access things that are underneath this layer. So what I'll do is I'll lock this layer over here. So this is the confetti screen. If I click on play, you'll see the little confetti go off. So I'm locking this screen, making sure that it's still visible. It'll only play when I press the button. And then I can go over to the text overlay and click on this little icon next to it, which will then enable me to edit the text. If you can't find a way to click on here, you can always double click on the actual layer as well. So if I double click on
and what's the name of that window where you can find the actual layer?
So the name of the window is called Overlays.
Okay.
And it should be under the host and guest.
Okay, so you're saying that we don't even have to do all this. Like we could just go click window on the top bar and then go to overlays, and then you're going to find a host and guest thing, and they could just double click and edit that without clicking on the screen at all. Is that right?
Exactly. So simply just double click here. It'll bring up the name, and I can now say, hey, I am Junaid, save, and now I've got my name updated.
And how about those the handles underneath?
So handles underneath is the same fashion. You have it as a separate layer. So you'll see that the text is actually in white because it's displayed on top of black background. So I have the text white highlighted here, and I can change that text.
All right. Could you change my name to Ken Doll? I was just in a conversation with a childhood friend, and they used to call me Ken Doll. So let's do a demo there and change that. There we are.
Right, we got
perfect. And I just noticed that we're center aligned. what if I just wanted to give it a little nudge to the left or to the right?
If you have the layer selected, you would have to, again, go inside here and then move it around.
It's just a click and drag, right? That's
Just
simple.
click and drag, simple as that. And we've all been doing that, plenty of it, inside Canva. So it's similar functionality. Just click on the text, drag it. And if you happen to use your mouse button to scroll up and down, it's going to resize that as well.
Sounds good. Guys, it's really, really simple. It's just that a lot of people just don't know where to click. So again, you're going to get your Goboxstudio and you got your Stream Deck, you're setting it up. Maybe you got a new guest coming on. So before they come on, you just want to click Window, and then the drop down will take you to Overlays. And in Overlays, you find where it says Host and Guest, and you can double click that, edit it, and it's as simple as that. Let's go back to the stream view so that people can see this. And then there we go. Not just on your Stream Deck, could you just hit host view so that you take me away and then bring it back so people can see that transition and how quickly this can happen?
Absolutely. So here I have my full screen host view. Wow. I guess I used the host.
Oh, you adjusted the scene, the host scene.
I adjusted the host scene, I guess, yeah.
So sometimes this happens, guys. Don't worry. That's why it's always good to just give a run through on all those buttons and make sure it's working before. And we're literally like 5 minutes ago, we're just like, hey, Junaid, what are we going to talk about today? And we just made this up. So if it's lack of preparation, then that's why it's good to rehearse just a little bit first.
Yeah.
Here's what's really cool about Ecamm is depending on what scene you're in, while you're in it, you just make some changes and that automatically saves. And sometimes it's, if you're used to the kind of process where you make a change and then you save. Otherwise, that's kind of the old type of, creative process. Nowadays, since everything is constantly updating and, so much cloud-based stuff, it's constantly communicating with the server. And in this case, it's not the server, it's on your computer, but it's constantly saving the most recent thing that you did. So it's simple. You go into a scene, you change it how you like it, and next time you're in that scene, it's going to remember those settings. And it actually is very intuitive as long as you don't forget that you're either online or offline. So that's super cool. So this section, how to do these titles and adjust them. We're going to wrap this up. But the second thing we want to show you is how to change what we call the CTA screen. So a lot of times when you're doing a webinar, especially, you want to remind people, hey, don't forget to get the book. Don't forget to get this free download. Don't forget the pricing, right? So right now, do that again. Do that again. That's awesome. Right. So we have literally a physical button. Now, I don't know who Dale L. Roberts is. I found this off of a stock site. But when you push a button, then the graphic to your book, your program, your challenge will come on the screen. And when you push it again, it goes away. This is a stock image that we stuck in here. And what we're going to do now is show you how you can replace this with your image, whether it's your colors, your book, your text. We want that to, of course, not be promoting Dale L. Roberts, but instead be promoting your program. So Junaid, please walk us through how do we swap out the default to the customer's graphics?
There's multiple ways that we can do that. And I was talking to somebody the other day, helping them like, hey, I'm going to be updating my graphics and they're setting it up on another platform. And I was like, well, the fastest way would be to create your new graphics and name those files exactly as the ones that are on here. And in here, you'll notice that under the overlays, we have a folder called CTA. Inside CTA, I have a lot of different things, but the one that I've wanted to update is this CTA full screen. So what I'm going to do is choose that folder, even choose that image. Now this is the image that shows up when you click the button. So in here, click on image overlay, choose the full CTA image, click on open, and there is the image. Now, even though I selected here and I added it there, it didn't let me. So I'm simply going to drag this file up here.
And right now we're seeing the graphic take the full screen on the stream here.
Okay. So if I were to full screen this, you
There we
can
are.
still see the overlays. Okay, perfect.
We can.
Now that this graphic is here, we want to make sure that it's tied into the button that I'm pressing. So for example, if I were to click on this icon, and you'll see my mouse is over here, I'm pressing the physical button on the Stream Deck. It's opening up this other one from before. I want it to open up this one. So what we will do is go over to Configure Stream Deck, and I'll bring the Stream Deck window up here.
So what you're seeing here, guys, on the Stream Deck, these colored buttons it's going to mirror exactly what you see here in the software as to the hardware keyboard that you have. So you have the keypad with 15 keys, and each of those buttons are little LCD screens. So that's what's so beautiful about this is you can just look and the buttons will change depending on what you're doing at the moment. So there's a specific button. Go ahead and walk us through that.
Yep, so this is the full CTA button that we've created. And you'll see under here, it says full CTA overlay. And the file that it's connected to is this CTA-full. Now this is the latest one that we added, so I'm simply going to switch from this one to this one.
So we click on the button, and then basically with the drop down, we just tell it what graphic to display when that button is hit. And the rest is pretty much just automatic, right?
Yep, so press that button.
So it's a good idea to just label your graphics with something that you're going to automatically recognize, like full screen CTA, lower third CTA, right side CTA, or something like that. And then it'll be easy to quickly find when you're setting up your Stream Deck for this. So let's recap the steps we're going through as you kind of clean this up. The first thing is you need the graphics files. So what you want to do is tell your graphics designer, whether they're somebody internal on your team or yourself, you're going to want these to be standard 4K resolution. If you're doing 4K video, if you're doing 1080p video, then standard 1080p. So if you're in Canva, there's presets for all this in the drop down and find that graphic size, right? Step 2 is, make the graphic. So bring in your product image, pick a nice background color, put in the text, export it as a transparent ping. That's going to be the best, especially if you, like we do, kind of have that cutout look with that book. So you want to get these ping files. Step 3 is you have to bring it into the overlay window. You got to import it into Ecamm as an overlay. Step 4 is you're going to open up the Stream Deck controller software and then click the button that you want to trigger that graphic. And then in the drop-down menu, if you did, steps 1 to 3 properly, then you're going to find the graphic that you just uploaded. And if you do those things correctly, then from now on, every time you hit that button, then that graphic is going to pop up. You hit the button again, it's going to go away. Did I get that right, Junaid?
You did. That's absolutely those are the steps.
All right.
And the cool thing is we also have a little article on Goboxstudio website that walks you through these steps as well.
We're specifically using a software called Ecamm right now. If you have the Goboxstudio and you're using something else, perhaps you're using OBS, StreamYard, those are a couple of the popular ones we've seen people use, or Streamlabs OBS, then it's going to be a slightly different process, but the principle is the same. All of these things, all of these different streaming softwares have ways to integrate with Stream Deck. And as time goes on, we'll probably be creating more and more tutorials for the other softwares. But we're starting with Ecamm because this is the most popular one by far for all of our customers so far. So we want to do the kind of videos that will serve the most people in the least amount of time. But don't worry, we will be building this out. I think what's important, Junaid, is we know from our customers what is the things that they're wanting help with. So guys, if you're watching this and you can think of something like, hey, how do I do this? Or even if it's a thing to do with wiring or something, put it in the comments below. And we have a big list of requests that people want tutorials, and we'll keep adding those in. Junaid, is there anything else that we need to cover before we wrap this thing?
I think that basically does it. I mean, it's especially the ease of use with the buttons. I mean, we saw all of the colorful buttons, and we have them color coordinated. So we had the red ones were all center of attention, and you can see it what it does. It's a full screen, a light board, and then we have the sequence where you're giving full attention to that full screen. Then we have the call to actions in the pink color. Then we have podcast studio, or podcast samples and the webinar. We're basically giving in the demo, especially in the demo layout, all the different things that you can work with the Goboxstudio. Now it all comes down
Amazing.
to what's the most important thing that you're gonna do. And the cool part about StreamDeck and Ecamm Live is that you can create specific profiles for each of your shows and each of your events. So
Could you show
pretty
us a
cool.
preview of that one that you're working on now? I know that this is not public release yet, but I have a feeling that people who got their Go Box and they're getting ready for their setup session, or they're looking for new ways to use it. There's something that one of our customers requested, which we're working on right now. Are we? Is it okay if we show it?
This was the mock-up. This was the full CTA that I exported from this program, and I added it. So what I've been working with is we've created a podcast studio or podcast version for the show, where a lot of the times we're like, okay, what's going to happen in the beginning of the show? What's going to be the second thing? You've basically come up with a rundown. Hey, this is what we're going to be doing in the show. So our client came up with a list of things that he wanted to show off. Like, hey, I have a 5-second opening, then I have an intro, then the Goboxstudio will play, then I'm interviewing with my guest side by side. So these were the different things that he wanted to do, different scenes that he wanted to lay out. I was like, all right, let me make it easy for you to remember. And a lot of the times when you're in front of a screen and when you're in front of the camera, you're like, okay, what button do I press? I have to either memorize the buttons or look at it like, okay, I got to press this button now. But I was like, how about if I added some numbers to it? And then this makes it much easier. Like, okay, number 1, intro. 2, full screen. Now I'm talking to the guest, to the audience. Number 3, it's playing the video. So I custom created these buttons for the guest so that he can go and be like, all right, this is my run to the show. Let's give it a go. Let's try it out. And again, the more practice you do, the much easier it becomes.
That's it. So, and here's the other great thing is that if you have somebody else as an assistant and they're the one controlling the stream, then this gets so easy. They just have a program sheet and they just remember push 1. And then when he says a certain thing, push 2, push 3, push 4. And by the time you're at the end, the show's over. Everything went great because you pre-programmed what's going to happen at every stage. And they're just
Yeah.
following a checklist based on numbers. So if you're looking for an easy way to get help, then this is amazing because all you have to do is, just tell them what number to push and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole program just keeps going. There's
Exactly.
the training period for people taking over and helping you with this just is going to shorten by so much.
So much more.
So Junaid, we got to wrap this up. And what I want to do is end this by saying thank you so much for showing us the tech stuff. And to our audience, I want to say we will come a little better prepared next time, I think. But I think that what you're seeing is that even if there's a few little things that are unexpected, you're going to be able to figure it out because everything in this program is very intuitive. You just have to spend a
Absolutely
little
is.
time understanding, how it operates. But then once you do it once or twice, you're going to very quickly be able to say, oh, I want this graphic to pop up in the top right corner. I want my
Yeah.
logo to pop up here. I want this testimonial to pop up when this happens. And then you can start doing advanced things like when I push this button, then I want this to pop up and then to go down and then a video to play and
Mm-hmm.
then to fade back to my face. These are sequences and we're not going
Yeah.
to get into that right now, but just the power of being able to push a physical button and stuff comes on your screen. The goal here in this is so that when you're presenting, you're never having to click with your mouse and you're never having
Right.
to touch your keyboard. That's the goal. The goal is you're presenting and you have 15 buttons with the most commonly used things and you never have to interrupt the flow. Now, we're doing some clicking and pointing because we're demonstrating how to set things up.
Right.
But ultimately, you just want to be able to deliver from your while you're in flow without ever breaking flow, having to look down and figure out where to click and all that we want to get you completely out of the space, and that's the purpose of this.
Well, what's cool is that, this is really powerful, and like Ken mentioned, the more practice you do, the more pre-planning you do, the easier the whole situation gets, and we're just reducing friction for you to create more content.
Perfect. That's it for now, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.